Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about IELTS Speaking Test Part 1. The topic of our lesson is reading. Now, if you're planning to sit for your IELTS Speaking Test, then there are some questions that the examiner might ask you about reading. In this lesson, we are going to look at some of those questions and some sample answers. Question 1. Do you often read? Do you often read? What this question is asking you is how often do you read? How often? How many times? Per day, per week, per month? How many times do you read? How often? Okay? Now you may answer this question by saying sample answer 1. Yes, I do read quite often, but not as much as I used to last year. Do you often read? Yes, I do read quite often, but not as much as I used to last year. Okay, so in that answer, you have explained that yes, you do read, but last year you used to read more. Okay, yes, I do read quite often, but not as much as I used to last year. Now, if your answer is no, do you often read? Then you can say, no, I don't really enjoy reading at all. I rarely read any books. Okay? Do you often read? No, I don't really like reading. Okay? No, I don't really like reading. I don't enjoy reading books at all. I find it a little bit boring. Okay? Now, question number 2. What is your favorite kind of book to read? What is your favorite kind of book to read? Now, what this question is asking you is, there are different genres of books. There are different types or genres of books. Okay? Which genre is your favorite? Which genre is your favorite? So that is what the examiner is asking you. What is your favorite kind of book to read? What is your favorite genre of book to read? Genre is G-E-N-R-E. That is G-E-N-R-E. Okay? What is your favorite kind of book to read? What is your favorite genre or category or type of book to read? Now, you can answer this question by saying sample answer 2. I enjoy reading all sorts of genres, especially fiction novels, comic books, and plays. I enjoy reading all sorts of genres, especially fiction novels, comic books, and plays. Okay? Now, these are just a few of the genres of books that we have. Okay? You have fiction novels, you have non-fiction novels, you have comic books, you have plays, you have horror books, you have autobiographies, okay? You have biographies as well, okay? So all those are examples of genres that we have when it comes to books. So you can pick any of those, okay? I enjoy reading all sorts of genres, especially fiction novels, comic books, and plays, okay? Now, question 3. Do you often read newspapers? Do you often read newspapers? Now, what the examiner is asking you here is, how many times do you read newspapers? How often? How many newspapers do you read in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year? How often? Okay, so you have to answer the question bearing in mind you're being asked how many times, okay? How often do you read newspapers? Now you may answer this question by saying sample answer 3. I rarely read newspapers because I tend to read news online or watch news on television. I rarely read newspapers because I tend to read news online or watch news on television. Okay? So you have answered the often part of the question by saying rarely. Okay? Rarely means you do not do it often. Okay? Rarely means not often. Now, question 4. Do you have any ebooks? Do you have any ebooks? Now, what that question is asking you is, do you have any electrical books that you have downloaded? Okay, do you have any ebooks that you have downloaded, for example, into your Kindle, for example? Do you have any ebooks? Do you have any electric books that you have downloaded? These days, when you buy books online, you have a chance of getting a hard copy. A hard copy means the book itself, okay? But you also have the chance of getting the book as a PDF file, for example. But you also have a chance of buying the book in an e-book format, okay? Which means that you download it and you can use your Kindle to read the book, okay? So do you have any ebooks? Now, you may answer this question by saying, yes, I have downloaded a few ebooks which I read almost daily, okay? Yes, I have downloaded a few ebooks. It should be ebooks. So in sample answer 4, make sure you have an S after book. Yes, I have downloaded a few ebooks which I read almost daily, okay? So in sample answer 4, after yes, you should have a comma, and then after book, you should have an S. Please correct that, okay? Do you have any ebooks? Yes, I have downloaded a few ebooks which I read almost daily. Now, if your answer is no, if the examiner says, do you have any ebooks? You can say, no, I have absolutely no ebooks. Okay? Do you have any ebooks? No, I have absolutely no ebooks. Okay? Question 5. What books did you read as a child? What books did you read as a child? Now, the examiner here is asking you to list some of the titles, okay? The examiner wants to know what are the names of those books which you read as a child? Okay, what are those books called? Okay, what books did you read as a child? Now, you may answer this question by saying sample answer 5. As a child, I read Pete the Cat and the Lion and the Mouse. Okay, these are 2 children books. Okay, as a child, I read Pete the Cat and the Lion and the Mouse. Okay. Now, if you never read any books as a child, then you can say, when she says, what books did you read as a child? Then you can say, I read no books at all when I was a child. Okay? I read no books at all when I was a child. Or I did not read any books at all when I was a child. Okay? But if you did, then you can just say the titles of the books. Like, for example, Pete the Cat and the Lion and the Mouse. Okay? Or you can just say, as a child, I read a few books, but I can't remember the titles. Okay? As a child, I read a lot of books, but I can't remember the titles. Okay? Now, question 6. Do you think that it is important to encourage children to read? Do you think that it is important to encourage children to read? Okay? Now, you can answer this question by saying sample answer 6. Yes, books help children to become more creative, improve in reading and writing. Okay? Yes, books help children to become more creative, improve in reading and writing. Remember this question, do you think that it is important to encourage children to read? What the examiner is asking you is, what are the benefits of reading for children? What are the benefits? How do children benefit from reading books? Why are books good for children to read? What are the advantages of children reading books? Okay? Do you think that it is important to encourage children to read? Then you can say, yes, books help children to become more creative, improve in reading and writing. Now, remember what I have said in my previous videos about IELTS Speaking Test Part 1. Whenever you're giving your answers, try and make sure that your answers are in 3s. Okay? And what I mean is, yes, books help children to become more creative, improve in reading and writing. So you can see I have given 3 reasons. More creative is 1, improve in reading 2, and writing is 3. That helps you. It is very easy to speak words in 3s. Okay, it's easier. It helps you to be more fluent, but also it gives you a chance to give a comprehensive answer, a detailed answer, and through that the examiner gets the impression that you have a good command of the English language, because you also have a wide choice of vocabulary. Okay? Now, if you also look at example 2, I use the same principle of 3 things, okay? I enjoy reading all sorts of genres, especially fiction novels, comic books, and plays. That's it just is so much easier when you say answers in 3 parts. I enjoy reading all sorts of genres, especially fiction novels, comic books, and plays. Okay? Number 6, Yes, books help children to become more creative, improve in reading and writing. Okay? Now, number 7. Do you think reading is beneficial for you? Do you think that reading is beneficial for you? So this time the examiner wants to know whether reading has helped you or it helps you in any way. Are there any advantages to reading for you? Okay, how do you benefit from it? Okay, now you can answer this question by saying, yes, reading has helped me to improve my vocabulary, imagination, and my writing skills. Do you think reading is beneficial for you? Yes, reading has helped me to improve my vocabulary, imagination, and my writing skills. So once more, you see in that answer, I have used the 3-word format to answer that question. Do you think reading is beneficial for you? Yes, reading has helped me to improve my vocabulary, imagination, and my writing skills. Okay? Now, that is much easier than when you start using connectors. Okay? If you're not familiar with connectors, I have uploaded a video about connectors and how you use connectors to join your ideas together. Now, using connectors is brilliant, but it's a little bit complicated when it comes to your fluency when you're doing your speaking test. Like, for example, answer number 7. I'm going to use connectors. Now, the examiner says, do you think reading is beneficial for you? Yes. Firstly, reading has helped me to improve my vocabulary. Furthermore, it has helped me to improve my imagination. And finally, my writing skills have also improved. So, in that answer, I have used firstly, furthermore, and finally. And it is absolutely fine to use connectors. If you can, it's fantastic, okay? Now, sample answer 2. I'm also going to use connectors in that question. So the examiner says, what is your favorite kind of book to read? Okay? I enjoy reading all sorts of genres. Firstly, I enjoy reading fiction novels. Also, I love comic books. And finally, I enjoy reading plays. Now, I have also used connectors in that answer, and it is absolutely fine to do that. But if you're a little bit nervous and you feel a little bit challenged when you have to do your speaking test, then I would encourage you, instead of using connectors, just try and give your answers in 3 parts. I enjoy reading all sorts of genres, especially fiction novels, comic books, and plays. Yes, books help children to become more creative, improve in reading and writing. Yes, reading has helped me to improve my vocabulary, imagination, and my writing skills. Okay? Now, the other thing I want to point out is, do not answer your questions by simply saying yes or no. Okay? Now, if you look at question 1, do you often read? Yes. And then give a reason. Okay? Do you often read? Yes, I do read quite often, but not as much as I used to last year. Question 4. Do you have any ebooks? Yes, I have downloaded a few ebooks which I read almost daily. Number 6. Do you think that it is important to encourage children to read? Yes, Books help children to become more creative, improving reading and writing. And then number 7, do you think reading is beneficial for you? Yes, reading has helped to improve my vocabulary, imagination, and my writing skills. Okay? Now, this brings me to the end of this lesson. And in this last section of our lesson, I read the questions for you. And as I read the questions, try and think of an answer. Are you ready? Okay. Do you often read? What is your favorite kind of book to read? Do you often read newspapers? Do you have any ebooks? What books did you read as a child? Do you think that it is important to encourage children to read? Do you think reading is beneficial for you? Okay? Now, this reminds me that there's one more question that you're very likely to get on reading. And the question is, which book have you been reading? Which book have you been reading? Okay? Which book have you been reading? Or which book have you read the last week or the last month? But have a title of a book, okay? Which book have you been reading? Have a title of a book at the back of your mind when you're going for your speaking test, okay? When the examiner asks, which book have you been reading? Then you can say, I have been reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Lee Harper, okay? That is just an example. So remember to have a title of a book at the back of your mind and the writer. The writer or the author is the person who's written the book. Which book have you been reading? I have been reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Lee Harper. So the title of the book is To Kill a Mockingbird. Maybe you're familiar with the book, maybe not. And the writer of that book is Lee Harper. Okay? So prepare for that question as well. Which book have you been reading? Okay? So say the title of the book and the writer. I have been reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Lee Harper. Okay? Now, this brings me to the end of this lesson. If you found the lesson helpful and informative, then kindly subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, your college mates, or with anybody else who may need the video, and give this video a thumbs up. That will make me really happy. Okay? Now, in the comment section, can you tell me what you have been reading? What is the name of the book that you have been reading the last few days or last month or last year? What was the book that you read the last? Okay, which book did you read as the last book? Okay, now thank you very much and see you in our next lesson. Bye bye.